Hello and welcome to the first of hopefully many Fulhamish transfer roundups. I'm joined by Joe Sansom. How are you?
I'm buzzing. I love silly season. I'm very excited.
I think this is probably why we're doing this mini summer series, because our enthusiasm over transfers is so high, and obviously we're in the Premier League now, so we have license to spend, although we don't want to spend too much because we learned our lessons from last time. Hopefully we learn our lessons from last time, Joe.
Fingers crossed. I mean, we saw the Tony Khan interview, I think it was in the Times last week, where he basically said that he wanted to learn from his mistakes and he wanted to keep the team together. But that being said, we do need to strengthen still. Just maybe not the sheer turnover of 2018 summer, because that was just too many, not enough time for them to gel, not the right players.
I mean, that was just a disaster, wasn't it, in hindsight? But there's many things to look forward to. Let's start with the playoff final, because we haven't actually talked about it face to face since it's happened. Fulham winning by 2-1 against, who was it again? Brentford. Okay, that was it. We beat Brentford in the playoff final. They're in the Championship. We're in the Premier League. How does that feel? How does that feel to say that after all the years where they beat us in the 4-1, the 2-1, blah, blah, whatever, we beat them in their biggest game of their history? But it could come back to bite us in a year's time. You just never know.
It could, but whatever happens now, when it actually came to the important match, we pulled out the performance, which I'm delighted about, because too often in the last few years that they've had the better of us and they've had all the bragging rights, maybe not finishing above us until this season. But, yes, we got promoted and then we got embarrassingly relegated. They've beaten us twice this season. And it just sort of felt like it was almost, I sort of felt like it was written in the stars for them to be back in the Premier League in their new stadium. And I'm so happy that this hasn't happened, because I think that on the night, we really, really deserved it. I thought tactically, Scott did a superb job. I've had some people pointing out that I was quite harsh on Scott Parker, and I was, and I still stand by what I said at the time. Since then, since the Leeds game, I think he's changed the way we play. I think he's been much improved tactically, substitutions at the right time, and I think the way that we set up against Brentford completely nullified them. Everyone's pointed out that the front three BMW didn't look like much of a BMW. It was quite pathetic. The reason I think that is yes, they didn't turn up, but we defended so well against them. And this was Dennis Adoy, who in June, was it, when we played them, I thought had quite a good game. This is Joe Bryan, who didn't at the time, and the way he stepped up, I thought was just magnificent. I thought we played so well.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable how we were written off in the media. Everyone was acting as if Brentford were the ones who were going to go up. They were the media darlings. They were the one who had the more romantic story. But Fulham, who were promoted and were in the Premier League in 2018, a lot of people were like, I don't want to see them back in. I want to see Brentford. I want to see a new team. But look, you've got to win the game on the night. And like you said, we got it absolutely spot on with the tactics and the way we just stopped Brentford from playing their fluid football. And we played some very good football on the night as well. And obviously, Joe Bryan's goals got the job done. But anyway, we're here to talk about transfers because, I mean, we'll start with something that's not really going to happen, but we might as well address it. Less than 18 hours after Fulham were promoted, the Ryan Sessegnon rumour started to flood in. Of course, Tony Khan said in the Times that probably won't happen. He said it in a way which was slightly controversial, but thanks to our friend George Rossiter, we have a long list of players who have been linked with us since we got promoted, which was only about 10, 11 days ago. So, Joe, let's start off with talking about two players who we're quite excited about: Antonee Robinson from Wigan and Matty Cash from Nottingham Forest. Your thoughts on possible deals?
Yeah, so if you haven't read it as well, Cam's done a great article on some of these players already.
Yeah.
These are sort of two rumours that came around the last few days, didn't they? And me and you both are quite excited about these ones. I think it's fair to say. I think it's because after the initial euphoria of getting promoted wore off, I thought, okay, well, what if we're not going to do what we did last time? What are the key areas we need to strengthen? And I think we've needed a right back for a long time. I think Adoy and Christie and Steven Sessegnon, sort of bit part player this season, have done a good job. But I think it's a weak link. And I think Matty Cash impressed me. Maybe not so much in the most recent game against Forest, because I just thought we did a good job on them that day. But in recent occasions, both just watching Forest on TV, he's always looked to me like quite an attacking threat. And we haven't really had an attacking threat at right back since Fredericks.
No.
I mean, I'm not sure what you think, but I think that's a key area we need to strengthen.
Yeah, and I think what's important is that we have capable players in the positions and we have squad depth. I remember Cyrus Christie in the first game in the Premier League against Palace started. He played fine. He actually had a shot on goal, and he did all right. But I don't think he is of the stand where he can play every game. I don't think that. I think we are very light at right back, and I think Stephen Sesson will probably go out on loan. I think that Dennis Adoy is getting on a bit, and I think Matty Cash is probably the best that the Championship has to offer. I mean, we could dip into the European market. We've been linked with that Salaby guy from Bordeaux, who obviously was linked January 2018. But Matty Cash is fantastic, and he plays in a very decent Forest side who somehow did not make the playoffs. I'll still be thinking about that when I'm 90 years old, I reckon. But Matty Cash. Sorry?
So will they.
Yeah, I mean, that will haunt them for the rest of their careers, really. But anyway, Matty Cash, £15 million. I mean, apparently some teams are only willing to pay 12. I think we were talking about this the other day. Just pay the extra 3. Maybe offer them a player on loan.
We were talking about this. We saw the Sky Sports sort of classic sort of Carve Solikol nonsense that he gets paid to spout was Fulham have got preparing a bid in the next 48 hours. That means nothing, does it, really? It doesn't take 48 hours to prepare a bid. It might take 48 hours to pay a bid. I mean, we're not transfer insiders or anything, but if you're going to bid, you'll bid it. So I think that 15 million, it could be seen as a bit steep for someone that I think is an upgrade on Cyrus Christie, but isn't exactly a world-class right back. I don't think 15 million would buy that anyway. But could 15 million buy you better in this market when not many teams are going to want to be selling their best players? He is one of Forest's best players. I don't know if we could do that much better in terms of value for money.
I think it's a deal that makes sense in my eyes. I think there's nothing really. I think he's promising. He's only 23. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him, and I think down the line he would get a Premier League move. And it just so happens that, he's had a good season at Forest and we're the ones to try and pick him up. Antonee Robinson, this is interesting. Obviously, the move to AC Milan broke down in January. That was really heartbreaking for him and would have actually really helped Wigan financially. Obviously, Wigan are in an absolute state right now. And we obviously really do feel sorry for them when we did relegate them. But they in no means deserve to be relegated. And Paul Cook has done a wonderful job there. But Antonee Robinson, for 1.5 million, that's his fixed price. I think it could rise to 2. And there's a few Premier League clubs in for him: Sheffield United, I think Aston Villa, and then here come Fulham. And the sort of memories I'm getting from this kind of deal was Joe Bryan's. Of course, he was on the verge of signing for Villa and he sped down whatever motivator it was to get to Fulham. That's always been a classic memory. But Antonee Robinson, very, very good. And obviously AC Milan was sorted out. He's obviously got to be a talented, he is a talented left back. The only thing I have a problem with Antonee Robinson is that tackle out against Barnsley. He basically just flipped the man over and he managed to only get a yellow card. But Joe, your
commentary on that is amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. What are your thoughts on Antonee Robinson then?
Well, I thought he was really good when we played against them in I think it was September time when we beat them 2-0. I thought he was their best player. And when he got the move to, nearly got the move to AC Milan, I did sort of raise my eyebrows and think that's quite a big step up. I know AC Milan aren't what they used to be, but they're still a massive, successful club.
It's European football.
Yeah, exactly. But when I saw a few weeks ago that that he had this fixed price and that it looked like Sheffield United, a few other teams, I think even West Brom were interested in him, I just sort of thought, why aren't we looking at that? Because he would be brilliant competition for Brian. I mean, I presume that Brian will start the season at left back. He probably deserves to after the end of the season he's had, but he's a brilliant option at left back. I mean, at the moment, our backup is Maxime Lemarchand, who seems like a lovely guy.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say. Premier League. I'm sorry, but I feel very strongly about this. He seems like a lovely guy. I would loan him to a Championship club.
Yeah.
But I don't think he should be starting for us in the Premier League at left back.
No.
Maybe as backup at centre back, but
even then, when he started in the Prem, I remember Martial tearing him to shreds. So I mean, he's just not one that I want to really have featuring, especially if we just want to go better than we did last time. I mean, Robinson would be fantastic. I think he's got great potential. He's got very good attributes. He was a standout player at Wigan. And for that price, it's a steal. It's an absolute steal. The latest we're hearing, and I'm not some sort of in the know or anything, but this is just reports I've been reading. We're recording this on Saturday afternoon. That apparently we can offer Robinson better personal terms than the other two clubs linked. Now, if I was a footballer, I would obviously rather play in West London than in Sheffield or Birmingham. But that obviously is just my biased opinion. I don't know whether Robinson has made up his mind. I don't know if there's any progress in the deal. I reckon it's one that probably could go on for a while.
Yeah, especially as it's a fixed price, so it's literally purely down to him who offers him the best deal.
It's a tug of war.
Who's where he wants to live, who's offering them the most money. And I do feel like with the Carter's owners, we're the sort of club we're not going to let, for better or for worse, we're not going to let someone outbid us on personal terms. It seems like if they want a player, they'll do anything to get it done, which I do like. And as long as it doesn't disrupt any squad harmony, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll not drag on too much because obviously there are lots of players linked, but there's only a few that seem to be ones that we think that possibly could happen. I think we should just touch on two more players, unless I've made a mistake. Two more players, which is first, of course, the player who was on loan last season, the player of the season, apparently. I think he's definitely up there, and that's Harrison Reid. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. All we know is that there's an option to buy, and it's basically down to the player. Southampton sold Højbjerg to Spurs. Please sign for Fulham because he's such a good player and he would be such a great asset to have in the Premier League. Your thoughts on Harrison Reid's possible move to Fulham?
He's got to sign. I mean, Stephen Sessegnon's on a one-man mission on his Instagram saying sign the ting under every post he does. It looks like he's in Mykonos at the moment with Cyrus Christie, interestingly. So why would you go on holiday with the Fulham team if you weren't going to...
It's positive signs, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I just think he's a good player and I think he can make the step up. He's played for Southampton in the Premier League already a few years ago before he was on loan at us, Norwich, Blackburn. He's also, which I didn't know, I was just researching him the other day to find out a bit more about how many Premier League games he's played and stuff. He's actually played for them in the Europa League as well.
Oh, yeah.
So quite impressive pedigree there. But 8 million, we've got to do it. Yeah. And I see all these links like Palace are interested in hijacking the deal. If we've got an option, then all we need, I hope, is for him to pick us. And I don't see why he wouldn't because he's got a guaranteed starting place. The fans love him. He clearly gets on with all the players. I just can't see it not happening. It's images that precede unfortunate events.
Yeah, completely. I think all the signs say that he probably will put pen to paper. I mean, even the day after the playoff final, he was speaking to Sky as if he was some sort of Fulham player. I mean, we can read as much into that as we want, but at the same time, you just never know. Before we go on to the last player who came about yesterday, there's a few honourable mentions from this list. Ampadu from Leipzig, who's at Leipzig last season from Chelsea. I mean, there was a few rumours floating about in the last few days, but it's all gone a little bit quiet on that subject. Terence Congolo could come back to the club. You just never know. Another centre-back, Chris Smalling, was linked this morning. That's quite exciting, but I don't think that the fee would be sensible. I think he might just be a little bit past it, although he had a very good season at Roma. Ryan Babel. I mean, what is happening? What is the situation coming to?
Absolutely everyone from our relegation.
I just can't believe the possibility. I mean, it could happen. You just never know. Rob Dickie from Oxford would be a decent signing, but I think it would be a signing we'd make if we had lost that playoff final. I don't see him making the step up from League One to Prem. Enis Bardi from La Liga. I heard Ben Jarman was licking his lips at that prospect, being a big fan of the Spanish league. Callum Chambers again. But the last player I did want to come into, or any intermittent Nars is there as well. The last player I did want to come on to was Jean-Paul Botius. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He sort of plays in that sort of position of Bobby Decordova-Reid, the cam / winger / number 10, whatever you want to call it. Good player in the, oh my God, where does he come from? Is it the Bundesliga?
Mainz, isn't it? It's Mainz.
That's it. Yeah, I got confused with the Eredivisie in Netherlands. But what about that as a player? I think don't know much about him. Let's not beat around the bush. We don't know much about the player. All I know is that he's got a very nice card on FIFA.
Yeah, I mean, being completely honest, I've heard of him, but I don't know how good he is. It looked like us and Leeds on the report from I think it was the German press was linking us to him for about I think it was like 3 or 4 million. I can't remember. Maybe more.
I think it was more in the region of 10 to 15.
Oh, it might have been they'd signed him for 3 or 4 million. My mistake. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the position other than goalkeeper. I think it's the position we need to invest in the least. I'd rather get an out-and-out winger personally. That being said, he looks like a good player, and someone's pointed out he's the cousin of Irby Emanuelson.
Yes,
the absolute legend of Swansea away, which kept Yol in charge. So, you know, maybe he can pass on some good things, but it seems like quite an exciting player. I just don't know if that's the position we need to be looking at.
Look, I think that as long as we've got cover in each position without splashing the cash, I think I'd be very happy. I think we should probably round it up. I will say to you that the fixtures do come out on the 21st, which is just 6 days away. It said no later than the 21st, so it could be earlier. So we should definitely do the same again and have a little reaction to the fixtures go through each month and the key moments in the season that could possibly be for Fulham. Branislav Ivanovic, I'm just looking at this list as well. Branislav Ivanovic, DeAndre Yedlin, Ivan Toney. We could pinch him from what Brentford seemed to be on course of. They seem to be the favourites to sign Ivan Toney. But Joe, thanks very much for joining. It's been wonderful to actually talk transfers and, you know, looking forward to a Premier League season. Just before we finish, I know you have preferences for fixtures and obviously the kits that has to come out. There's still a lot to happen in this summer, and it's, you know, obviously a weird summer with Corona and everything. But how excited are you for this Premier League season?
I'm really excited. When I woke up the day after the playoff final, I just thought, what a relief it is to be able to be linked to all these amazing players, to be able to have all these possibilities, and hopefully we just get it better than we did last time. I've seen a lot of people refer to us as like an up-down boing club, you know.
It's a myth.
Okay, we boinged once, all right.
Yeah,
so the other time we were in the Prem for 13 seasons. I mean, if we go straight down, I guess we could be referred to as that, but I don't think we will, as long as we invest the money right, and I trust us to do that. There was an article the other day when we were linked to Robinson. It was the Sun. It was Alan Nixon, who's normally fairly reliable. He said that we were looking at half a dozen players, and I think as long as we invest that money in the defence and get some experienced players and Reid, then I think we could be okay.
Yeah, I think just before we finish, I'd like to address that. I think that last time we came to the Premier League, I think myself and a lot of people were very arrogant. I think we'd been on this cloud where we, you know, 23 games unbeaten, we were playing this nice football, and it just didn't work out. And we had egg on our face for a while. And I do want to say that I am very wary that this is a very strong Premier League lineup. And we will be favourites, one of the favourites to go straight back down. So I am under no illusion that it will be a fight to stay in the division.
I would absolutely snap your hand off for 17th place on goal difference right now. I think it's going to be really tough.
Yeah,
but,
everything.
Yeah.
But exciting. I mean, you can't write off the season. I think that, you know, Sheffield United, you know, wowed us all. And who's to say we can't do the same and maybe have a little cup run as well. Thanks so much for joining us, Joe. We will see you probably August 21st for a bit of a fixture reaction. And obviously that new kit that everyone keeps going on about, you know, it will come at some point. We just don't know. Thanks very much for watching. There's a lot of exciting content to come from Fulhamish this season. Obviously, in the Premier League, we've got the podcast, we've got YouTube, we've got the articles, we've got the website and everything. So please subscribe. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks very much, Joe. And we'll see you in the Barclays on September 12th. And hopefully we get a decent opening day fixture. And hopefully we're allowed back in the grounds. Thanks very much for watching. You Whites.